Hello, everyone. Is it Thursday again? We are back with another episode of Cut the Shit, Cue the Genius, our weekly webisodes where we get to chat with all of you, the geniuses, the folks in the events industry, in and out, I'm sure, of the events industry who tune in and we pick the topic and you weigh in. And it's always fun to chat and share our own perspectives, but we're very glad for anyone who watches and shares your thoughts. We always have such great comments from, I wouldn't even say audience, from our participants or something, all the people who participate. But first, I am Liz King Caruso. Get to be here every week with Michelle Bruno and Dalia Algazar. Good morning, ladies.
Hello.
Good
Hi,
morning for us.
Brianna.
I know it's not morning for everyone, but we are talking today about the new era of white label partnerships. I'm excited about this topic. I see Brianna is already here. She says, "Hey, I like this topic." So it's a great way to start off. Brianna, welcome. Hello. So we are talking really about partnerships in all kinds of ways and fashions. As usual, we don't have a very specific way that we have to attack today's topic, but I brought it up in our planning meetings because I do a lot of this where a planner might work for Texie Talk and they get a Texie Talk email and they are on our team, but they technically may have their own projects and own business that they're doing. We do it with other companies where, we get their email address. And so it's essentially where people are partnering together in different ways. And there are a lot of different ways that people are doing this to better serve their customers. And it could be because they can't do it all on their own. I hear that a lot from planners lately. We're swamped. I have way too much business. I can't say yes to all of it. Or it could just be that it's outside of your realm. We get brought in, for example, a lot of times on virtual stuff for planners who just, it's not where they want to live. They don't know it very well. And so it's a good way to serve that customer without having to pass it on to someone else. So I am seeing in the industry more and more of this. I mean, it's obviously something that's always happened is kind of that agency model. And I thought it would be interesting to talk about, that this is happening and also what are all these rules around it? Like, do you have agreements? Should you have agreements? What should these agreements have? What shouldn't they have? And how do we protect ourselves on both sides of these? And how do we serve our customers the best? And I don't know. Again, as usual, it's a pretty broad topic, and then I'm just tossing it out there. Dahlia, I know you do this where you work with Michelle and myself and a billion other people. So, any best practices you want to kick us off with?
So the plus in Dahlia Plus was this is what it was all about. It was actually me, for very selfish reasons, is to work with like amazing minds and not, like they say, be the smartest one in the room. And so for the last decade or so, that is something that as an agency we thrive on. And I honestly think it is a great opportunity for any client when someone is very transparent and comes and says, I'm bringing the best for you to sit around the table and to figure out what you need to get done. And so the way it's evolved is truly building a network of skill set and expertise. But the biggest thing is you really have to vet out the energy level as well as how you interact with them. So you can have the best partners, but you don't jive. There's no vibe that's like yours, etc. And you really have to vet that out, because in essence, and Brianna, I love that you love the transparency as well. The other part of this is when you come to a client or when you come to a project, you have to be in sync. They have to be, almost like on the same level with you in regards to exactly the culture, the ethics, the style as well. If you have someone who's like very buttoned up, doesn't joke, doesn't use the term epic shit, I don't know if that would be a partner of ours, but but there's ways where you have to really figure out, what fits, what doesn't. And then I think the biggest other component of the partnerships is how willing you are, or your partners are, in learning from each other. That is so you have to evolve with each other, in the sense of, I know for a fact we don't do very well with partners that are like, I know everything, I do everything right, and they don't budge. It doesn't work like that. So that's how you sort of like take a look at which partners make sense, and take a look at like what your setup is going to be like. And I know, Liz, that you vetted out people on Triber. We talked about Triber way back in the day. If anybody
Way back.
was Triber, double R in the end, and all those emails that used to come where it was a community of like, all these companies saying, I'll work with you on this project, and then we'll work with each other on this project. So this is where you also, I think it merits that you take a couple of minutes to talk about like, how do you vet out credibility too, especially after the Corona coaster.
Yeah, it's so hard because I think when you're finding partners to work with, at least the way we do it, it's always people that I've known for years. And typically it's, it has definitely been though, where I have not directly worked with them. That's an ideal scenario where you've like worked together on something and then you do that 10 times and you realize, oh, we should do this all the time. But at the very least, it's been with people that I have known for years and typically know their personal life, their professional life. I get to understand. So, like Jennifer Clark and I work really well together. She has her own company, Emerge Events. She services she used to service festivals and a lot of local events. She's doing a lot more international and global stuff now, and definitely more in that conference space. But she and I met on social media and, Twitter friends or something, I don't know. And over so many years, I got to see, first of all, that she's serious about what she does. And so that's always very important. She has skill sets that I don't have. And so when projects started coming up that I was like, I need more of X, she was the person I thought of. So that has happened a lot of times with a lot of different people. And then it's typically a process of testing out how they work within the organization.
Mhm.
And not it has really nothing to do with whether they're great at what they do or not. It's more to what you were saying, are they a good fit?
Mhm.
Because every company works differently. I mean, we use our own little suite of 5,000 tools and different, and you have to be able to roll with it. You have to be able in our company to roll with the fact that I keep changing my mind every 3 months about what I think is most important in the whole world. So I think that's important. And then it's interesting though, because some of our relationships, it is a white label partnership where, Jennifer has a Texty Talk email, for example. But I like what you were saying earlier, Dahlia, about bringing the best to the table and the transparency around. Like, I think it's also totally fine for it not to be white labeled, for you to
Right.
say, we're bringing in Texty Talk because of the virtual piece and they know what they're doing. We've worked together many times. What do you think about that? Michelle, have you been in those kind of scenarios where it's like not necessary? Because the other thing we talked about before is everyone kind of has personal brands.
Yeah.
So, if I bring you, Michelle, in on a project, they very well might know you for who you are, not
Mhm.
for who you are working with me.
Usually, they don't know that I'm even on it. And most of the time, it's ghostwriting
Sure.
sorts of scenarios where they bring me in with expertise on a particular topic, and my name isn't on it. I don't get any credit, all of that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Um, but so in that sense, it's kind of weird. I mean, we as the contractors or partners have to know going in that, that's the arrangement. But I was actually thinking, listening to you both talk, are we talking about true partnerships where all of the people that are working, whether it's above the line or below the line, let's say, are taking equal risk and therefore gaining equal, the potential for reward? Or are we really just contractors that are filling in gaps and doing things? And the individuals that we subcontract for are the ones that really are getting all of the, you know, the goodness of the project. I think I'm asking that because it's a different power dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
If you come in as a partner, I think it's understood that you're going to reap the rewards and share the, you know, unrewards, whatever, the failures. As a contractor, you're immediately subordinated to whomever the general partner is on the job, and sometimes I think that that might cause sort of some levels of conflict in both scenarios. Mostly where I've felt conflicted was when it was supposed to be a partnership, but then it came in and I was really just a, you know, a hired hand.
Yeah.
It would have been good to know that at the beginning. So I think that there's sensitivity there around, you know, are we really partners? Are we really white label partnering? Are we going in together and, you know, gung ho and doing what Dahlia described, kind of all adding our expertise, all sharing ideas, all on the same level? Or are we just, you know, writers or videographers or whatever?
Yeah.
I think that's important, an important distinction.
Yeah, it's a great point, and Brianna agrees.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I think it's both, you know, and the question is, what are we necessarily talking about here? Which I guess we can choose what we're talking about. But I see this show as an example of a white label partnership.
Mhm.
Less because we're not coming under one of our brands necessarily, but we each have worked together in different ways, and probably more in the way that you were talking about, where like I've worked on projects for Dahlia before where it had nothing to do with taxi. I was just executing a job, and vice
Mhm.
versa. And then it's like you spend enough time together and you're like, we could do cool shit together. Like imagine if you and you
Mhm.
and I did
Mhm.
a webisode, you know, that's like what we came up with.
Had a talk show called Cut
Mhm.
the Shit.
Yeah, let's do cut the shit, you know. So I'm seeing more and more of this level partnership as well, where people really are in on the idea together and thinking through, you know, who do we want to serve and what does that business look like? So I don't know. I guess it feels
Yeah,
like a very
and
important distinction though.
that kind of partnership requires a really good chemistry. I have experienced partnerships before where the chemistry was awful,
Oh yeah.
and it really is sort of an impediment to doing your best work.
Mhm.
So I would say if we're making bullet points around who you partner with and or subcontract, but mostly partner with, you know, let it be known what that relationship is from the get-go, and also make it an environment where, you know, there are like no bad ideas. Well, there actually are really bad ideas, but it's kind of like everyone sort of listens, and it's okay if like one third of the time you get your way and, you know, two-thirds they get their way, sort of thing. But chemistry just really, like, it works for me.
Yeah, it's
Well, I
really
mean,
important.
if we're gonna cut the shit, we're asking people to cut the shit, which is
Mhm.
what we do on this show. Is I truly believe that, you know, for the last couple of years, and actually for a lot of independent contractors or solopreneurs, eventpreneurs, however you want to name them, they've really taken on partnerships just because they think they had to make it, that they are not able to survive losing a piece of business. And if, you know, and so they try to suffer through really shitty, toxic partnerships. Chemistry's not there just
Mhm.
because they need to get it done. They
Yeah,
want the money.
yeah.
And during the Corona coaster, this is where you saw this like huge spike in collaborations and conglomerations and blah blah ations, whatever. And all of a sudden it was like, because we have to do more, we have to get more. And I honestly would challenge everybody, even if you're under a brand or an umbrella, a corporate, you know, well-established organization, is to cut the shit, is to cut the partnerships and the projects that don't do you any favors or bring you any sort of satisfaction and are just bringing you down. Cut the people out, cut the projects out, find something else, and actually take a look at everything that you're working on, because everybody is freaking so burnt out right now. It does not do anyone any good, not even the project, not the organization, not your mental health, anything like that, any good if you're just in it because you have to be. Nobody has to be in anything. You will find something else. But this is where you need to vet out, clean out, declutter, Marie Kondo your freaking life right now and your partnerships. I don't care. Like, and if no, there's an interesting concept. I don't know if you Marie Kondo that shit. Exactly, Brianna. That's gonna be our like mantra for today. Um, have you guys heard of Ikigai?
I have heard the term. I don't know what it means.
All right. So where I think of, you think of your points of success, you think of what you want to work on, etc. That it's all like this Venn diagram, obviously. And in the middle, it's like between your passion and your skill set and all of that. And there's a pretty decent area right in the middle where you need to live. And the reason why I say that and bring it up, it could be touchy feely for some, but if you really think of it, this is how you want to sort of approach your partnerships. Mm-hmm. Where are you at and what's your skill set? Own a lane. Bruno knows, like my team always tell me, hey, you don't own the highway. Just stick to the slow. To the left lane. Just stick to a lane and leave everything else, right? Mm-hmm. And I truly believe this is where you are going to find partners that complement your highway, that complement the other lanes that you want to dabble in, give a feedback in, but you do not need to own the whole entire highway.
Yeah, that's the ideal.
I want to ask you guys too, the vetting process.
Yeah.
Because I've certainly had a number of situations, and I know you have too, Dahlia, where we noticed someone posting or talking about a particular topic, and we even meet them and they're great and so super knowledgeable and seem like they would be a good fit. And then we go into some sort of partnership or agreement and we're like, what were we thinking? This person is either a nightmare, or B, not at all what their persona is and their expertise is, or C, like, I don't know, did ChatGPT write their resume or, whatever? Because
they're a ChatGPT DJ, is that
something? Because it's like, oh, carpool, yeah. I think, I don't know. On the other hand, I've met so many good friends and partners and colleagues and subcontractors on social media that turn out to be absolutely fantastic and authentic. And I don't know. So how do you guys vet people that you want to work with?
I know one thing, which is going to sound super, I don't know, super whatever, is the gut feeling. There have been many times when I'm starting a partnership and there's like one or two things in the early conversations and I'm like, I don't know if we agree.
Red flag, red flag.
Yeah. But you put them to the side and you're like, this could be great. It could be whatever. And so I've learned for myself, it's very important to know in a partnership what I want to get out of it and what I'm good at. And to Dahlia's point, knowing what the heck your lane is and looking very kind of like from the sky. Are our skills complementary? Am I bringing something to the table that the other people are not bringing? And likewise, are they bringing something to the table? And then if that is the case, then it's around like personalities, and that gut check is reliable. There have been too many times where I'm like, I could have called this.
But don't you think like personality is kind of everything?
It is a huge part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they could be the most knowledgeable person in the world, but if you can't work with them.
You're the one, Bruno, you just said the chemistry has to happen, right? So this is really a relationship.
It's like dating. How do you know?
I was just going to
But
go there. It's like,
yeah,
who do you want
well,
to
I
go
think
to
what
par
Liz said
with?
is right.
Like,
There are little red flags, and you can't ignore them because they turn into like giant, you know, flags later on pretty soon. And
Yeah.
and the more times you do it, the earlier the flags pop up, and the earlier
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
say,
You're more aware.
no, no.
So
so
what do you guys think about like the formalization? Is that a word? Of
yes,
the
you just made
partnership.
it a word. It's a
So you
word
find some
because you said
people
it.
you jive with, you're like, okay, we're on the same page about this project. We share a vision. Uh, just to be transparent, because we cut the shit all the time on this show. Like the three of us don't have any kind of contract or something with cut the shit. We were kind of like, here's an idea. Let's, find a way to work. Uh, there have been times where I started a partnership and halfway through I was like, damn, we should have been a lot more a lot more structured from the beginning. So that and I'm not so big on the paperwork, as you both know, but I also feel like it's important to think through certain things. Like sometimes creating agreements makes you think through what I don't know. What do you think? This is some good comments here.
I think
Yes,
it's something that's probably good to do,
yeah.
but I've signed so many NDAs, so many whatevers, and I think it just boils down to either that person is ethical or they're not, and they know what ethics are in the context of our industry, excuse me, or they don't. It's like no piece of paper is going to protect you, um,
No.
unless it like goes to court or something. And for me, I'd be like, I don't have the money or the interest or the whatever to, fight that. Sorry, but so I don't know. I think having the contract is probably very necessary, but I've done lots of stuff with no contract myself
Nick says he's had
and
3
had a great
NDAs
time, and
already
they
this
love me
week.
too.
Yep. So when it comes to agreements and formalizing or formalization,
Yeah.
I do believe that NDAs is a must because
Mhm.
it already sets the stage of or expectations of the relationship. I love the idea that Brianna just said, which is setting rules of engagement with a partner, and that could be not a legal document, but it's something that is mutual, right?
Mhm.
This is how we can work together, etc. We do have contracts for independent contractors for some partners as well.
Mhm.
I do think that traits aside, personalities aside, you might love, working with certain people, that you do need to sort of be on the safe side, is to secure your just your intellectual property, all of that. But also, I've seen it many times where people will just work on a project with us and then they'll just go and copy it somewhere else. And it's unfortunate, but it's part of that gut feeling too, right? So when things are going to go south.
Yeah.
But so this is where I would say you would need at least an NDA, maybe the rules of engagement. And yes, if it is a contract, if it's a long-term contract, then it needs to be spelled out somehow, because things change. Like, Liz, are you working on any like scope of work that like when it started, you knew exactly what you were going to do and then it ended up like not even, not
No,
even
but
close?
I think another thing I learned the hard way, especially when your project is generating revenue, is to I think it is important to have some kind of contract or agreement that you sign. Um, I've had scenarios before where like we have money coming in, but the relationship is not working, the friendship is not working, the vibe dies, and then you have to agree. And it was long in court, annoying. How are we shutting it down? We selling it? If we sell it, who gets what portion and how does it work? And if we don't sell it, then what happens to all the revenue and the expenses? And so like because there's money involved, I think it is very important to have something on paper and to face that reality before you're in a position where you're trying to get out of that project for whatever reason.
Mhm.
So that was a lesson I learned. And I think anytime money is involved, especially, significant money, you should really be thinking more around the legal paperwork. Um, and then the other thing which I guess you can't really plan for, but I mean, we talk about mental health all the time on the show. I had a really bad partnership years ago. It was a great partnership, but it went really bad when another person had a really difficult time mentally. And it turned into stuff that I won't say on the show. And it was a dangerous situation, long story short. That made me think too, like every time I partner now, I'm like, okay, seems good going in. What if we got to get out? And I think that's something you got to think about early on in these partnerships, which is never the fun thing to think about. But I think it's kind of like, I don't have a prenup, but I guess it's like that, where you're like, we're going to get married. We're going to hope that this goes really well. But in the case that it doesn't.
Crap, I forgot the prenup. I'm on 28 years.
Yeah.
Can I go back? Can it be retro?
At least in business, I think it's necessary. We didn't do it on the personal side.
Yeah.
Let's see what
I don't know. But I do think there's going to be another spike of white labeled partnerships. I do believe that there's going to be this, we're looking for partners all the time, and in different capacities, as well as I think, again, it goes back to, listen, the other part of it is nobody really wants to work alone on projects anymore. It's draining. And, some clients are very needy at the moment. And with all due respect, it's true though. It's like they are mentally challenged in the sense of too much going on. And so if you sort of like say, oh, I'm going to be able to do this on my own, you're full of shit. It's not going to happen, and so this is where I say, do the gut check, do the vetting, maybe take it on in different capacities that you're not always in the lead. Because I think that's another thing that that we tend to think that, okay, we need to be the alpha partner. That's not true. So, but I think the other thing is, and I know we only have 3 minutes, is do the vetting, do the gut check, take a look at all the partnerships that you have right now and make sure that you go through them, what works for you, what doesn't, and take the time, honestly, to put some sort of system in place. Liz, it could be an Excel sheet, Google Suite for you.
Excel.
But like, honestly, this is where I would say you also have to vet out how's it going to be where you are communicating, collaborating, the workspaces, putting the time aside for the projects and for the partners. Because if it's a brand new partnership, you're probably in the courting stage of that partnership. You need to understand how you guys are going to communicate, etc. So I would take all of that in consideration and just do a reset, basically.
Yeah, I'm thinking about what Nick's talking about, tech companies might be doing white labeling and stuff there. It makes me think, like, another thing that you should be thinking about is it okay if you bring on someone to share the workload with you that is a known entity, but then ask them to like kind of stay in the closet? You know what I mean? Like, don't come out as XYZ, on this project. You're just going to we need your expertise. We need an extra pair of hands. Is that going to be okay with them? Because I can think of, Nick excluded, I'm not talking about Nick, but I can think of some people that would be great on something, but they would want their name all over it. And white label is essentially not that, right?
Yeah.
So that's something else to look.
Well, that's part of the transparency, not only with the client, but with each other. Nick loves the closet. So.
I think the show is over after that.
Nick is like me, the cash. It's about the cash. It's like,
just bring in the money.
My name on it, fine. You don't want my name on it, fine. Just tell me what to do, when to show up, and I'll tell you where to mail the check.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like nice if your name is not on it, especially when you're working under someone else. Like there have been times where I'm not the one who gets to make final decision, and I'm kind of glad my name's not on it at the end of the day. kind of like, well, it's your client. You're the one who decided that that's what you want to do. So it didn't go very well. Not my problem. All right. We are out of time. I think the whole event tech mergers and white labels thing is probably its own episode now. What's happening with that and where we think, I mean, that's like the age old question. Is it better for event tech companies to build everything in one platform and be everything, or is it better for them to have open APIs and work together? And that's a whole nother episode that people have been trying to answer that question for
a decade, like mobile
at
apps.
least a decade. Yeah.
Well, they're both right.
They both have their benefits, you know?
Yeah.
So, all right, ladies, thanks for hashing this through with me. I really didn't have a lot of
feel better
insight, as usual. Now I feel like I have to go write contracts and like figure out some.
Yeah, or get the Marie Kondo thing in. Just like,
I mean, Dahlia knows I've been Marie Kondoing my whole life.
Exactly.
I'm about it. I'm gifting things. I'm like, hey, anyone want a new couch? Just get it out of my. Everything's going. Projects, things, it's all going. So thanks to both of you. Thank you to all of our Nick and Brianna and everyone who's been chatting in the chat on LinkedIn and all the places we're streaming. We love having you guys as part of the conversation and learning from you. Brianna, thanks for sharing all your insights. So I guess that's it. Oh, sorry. Clicking too many buttons. Upcoming shows. We do have our whole month of February lined up in advance. We're very excited about this. These are the topics. We will be every Thursday on LinkedIn Live is really where you want to catch us on the LinkedIn event. You also can go to our website and find us in other places, but this is where you're going to be able to get the best interaction from other members and comments and all of that kind of stuff. So be sure to join us. Mark your calendars every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. And I suppose that's it, ladies. Any last words?
No, Marie Kondo, your shit.
Marie Kondo,
she's coming back. She's got some new stuff.
Yeah. Either that or the the minimalists. We should talk about that too.
I'm all about it. All right.
Yeah.
All right, ladies. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you. And we'll see you next week.